Welcome. Yes, this is the Sports Card Lessons Podcast. Thanks for being here. I know you had a choice, and I'm glad you chose to be here. You may have heard the new intro. It changed. I'm not sure how many people like I when I set out to do this and do the intro. I don't know how many people actually listen because I know sometimes I never listen to intros. I kind of bump it forward. So I don't know if you listen to the intro or not, but it has changed. If you're on the podcast version listening, that's a new intro, and the YouTube version too. There's a different intro for that one as well. So yeah, just time to freshen things up a little, sharpening things up around here. Want to start off by thanking my good friend Rob Gerard, sports card therapist. He was on the pod last week. It was a great episode. I mean, it's always a great time having Rob on. And if you missed any part of that, definitely go back and check it out. This is for me Sunday night. Just getting back from a 2 day show. And the 2 day shows, I've talked about this all the way through season one. They really run me down. When it comes to Sunday afternoon, I feel like I'm wiped out. And I thought it was just me, but after talking to a number of dealers today too, they say the same thing. The 2 day show sometimes is just too much. It's just too much. You know, I don't know if it's just a lot of interaction, like you're just talking to so many people, like your brain is constantly going, when you're at this show, you're talking to people, you're working with numbers and you're figuring things out. I know I went to one guy's table over the weekend, and it was Saturday morning. The show hadn't even started yet, and he had yellow dots on everything. And he said, everything with a yellow dot is 20% off. And I said, really? I said, you're going to make us do math on top of it? So Saturday morning, people are fresh, quick. I would have to think by Sunday afternoon, just thinking of doing percentages on cards, you would have to be exhausted. But the show this weekend, the EC3 at Mohegan Sun here in Connecticut, my guy Scott DeMay, Sky Up Signings, the promoter. It was a great show, really, really well put together. The show, much different landscape than I did the show last May, and just an enormous amount of foot traffic in this show Saturday and Sunday. And I know a lot of times in a 2 day show, people complain, well, Saturday's busy and Sunday's slow. Sunday was just as busy as Saturday. There was just a ton of foot traffic. I was leaving there at 3:15 today, and there were still people coming through the door getting wristbands to come in. So it was a great show. If you missed it, you definitely missed a good show. I believe they're doing this show again in June. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Shout out to Joe DiDonato. He owns Premier Sports Card and Memorabilia. I met him last May at the show. We were set up next to each other, and I talked on one of my episodes, just about meeting him and just what a great guy he was. And since that show, we became pretty good friends. We messaged a lot. And I was really looking forward to seeing him. So it was great to see him this weekend. And he definitely hooked me up with a couple cards I bought from him. Just a really great guy, and just some great deals going on over there at his table this weekend. Shout out Shane Norton, Sports Card Nobody. He came by to visit today. Always good to see him. Lauren on Instagram, LF Goalie 31. Now we've chatted online. We've never met. She came to this show today. So I got to meet her. It was definitely I was excited. You're always excited, and I've talked to people about this. A lot of times at the shows, like people walk up and they'll be like, "Hey, Ken, how are you?" And I'm like, "I'm great." And I look up and they're like, "Oh, I know you don't know me." Like, we feel like we know you because we see you twice a week. We're watching you on the screen, so we feel like we know you. So I'm so happy when people come up, even when I'm messaging people. I have no idea what they look like, right? So when I'm at a show and somebody comes up, it's always fun to meet the people you're messaging with. Someone new I met this weekend, Samantha on IG at Yaz.cards. She does breaks. She was actually doing a live at my table, going through boxes and looking at cards and showing uh, the people who are on the live the cards at my table. She ended up buying a few cards. Um, we followed each other, literally wasn't walked away 5 minutes, my phone, and I looked down and it says she's doing a live. She was doing a live break right there, at Mohegan, so that was just kinda cool. And just a shout out to everyone else I saw this weekend. Sometimes I'm busy, I don't write everybody's names down, and I don't remember, and I don't wanna, like, take a chance of getting names wrong or people's information wrong, but it's always good to see people, and I'm just so happy when people just come up and introduce themselves, especially if we've chatted online or you're just listening to the podcast. So let's get into the episode. As I was packing up today, Sunday, uh, I wasn't sure what I was going to call the episode. I was you know, torn between two. The first one was, I know why there are very few guys selling hockey at card shows. And the second one was, is football all year round? Well, now I chose as football all year round. Um, but is it? Is football all year round? As things changed, has the landscape changed? Right? Um, I put my football away. I talked about this for a couple episodes, planning ahead, knowing the shows, what I was going to do at football. I was going to put it away, which I did as soon as the Super Bowl. I wasn't going to be that one guy, right, that had football and everybody's like, football's over with. Um, I did have my Brady Bowman Chrome BGS, and I had one Mahomes optic rookie, the PSA 8. It was probably the only card before the Super Bowl that I set out, a whole number of cards I set out to sell before the Super Bowl. That was the only card I didn't sell. So I said, you know what? I'm going to throw that in my case. I'll throw it there next to the Brady. And, if somebody wants it, they want it. If not, but every other football, like if you've come see me at the shows, I have 2 cases of football, right? And a whole case turned into hockey. So all that whole case of football, I just boxed up and I put away. Um, and then I've got all these people coming up to the table asking about Brady, asking about Brady, asking about Brady. I'm like, geez, maybe I should have brought football. I mean, it just seems like, and even people that were coming up to the table, were you buying? I mean, it was primarily football. Um, and when it came to my Brady, you know, and here we go. I'm still talking about this stupid Brady. I know some people who, if you've been with me from the beginning, you're probably like, no, please don't talk about this Brady anymore. But, the comps on this Brady are around $2,500. And I know it. My card has great subgrades and I'm not going to let it go for $2,500. I just put it in my case. And I tell people, this is the price. This is what I'm selling it for, and I know it's high. And some people say, are those the comps? I'm like, no, it's over comps. I'm about $900 over comps. But you know what? When I walked around the room at this show, and this happened when I was in New Jersey too. I don't want to give specifics about New Jersey because I don't remember how many people had that card in the room. Similar BGS 9. Obviously, subgrades are different. But I just remember being in New Jersey, everybody was about $3,800 on that card. Right. And here at Mohegan, I walked around the room. Now, there were 3 other of these cards that I know that were in the room, and I knew the people who own these cards. I'm friends with these guys. And I went up and I'm looking in. I'm like, oh, yeah, you brought your Brady. And, I'm looking in, I'm looking at the price. One guy or 2 guys had it at 3,800. One guy had it at 3,600. I didn't have mine priced, and I just said 3,500. And I wasn't trying to be just 100 or 200 below the other guys because when I was in New Jersey the week before, I felt the same way, $3,500. That's what I put on it. And I think at some point, the value on that card should go back up to that. But if I'm stuck with the card, I'm okay with being stuck with the card. I like the card, and I always put it in the center of my case, and it always draws attention. So I don't mind. Everyone's always asking about it. So it's a card that people want. It's not a card that, um, you know, I mean, I know the pop counts are high on it, and I'm going to compare it right now to another GOAT in another sport, but Gretzky, right? So, Wayne Gretzky, uh, a rookie card, whether it be a Topps or an OPG, um, they're cards that have held their value, and then you put them in a case, people immediately, "How much for it? How much for it? How much for it?" It's one of those cards that no matter what's going on and what people PC, if the price is right, they're going to buy that card. So, I can't see that though that card, that Brady card going much lower than it is, and, I have to believe it's gonna go higher, and if it doesn't, I'm happy to own it. And I'm glad nobody in that room so they didn't at the end of the day Sunday, we all went home with our Brady cards. So to me, that was just a good sign that people feel the same way I do. Um, but I started asking other dealers, like football, why haven't you taken the football out? And other dealers were coming showing me these nice pickups they've got. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, last year at this time, I was the only guy at football, and people were like, "Really, football?" And now I'm saying, "Really, football?" And they're like, "Yeah." And you know what? The response I got from most people, it was like the catchphrase this weekend is, "Oh yeah, football's all year long now." It's all year long now. Yeah, like it wasn't all year long last year. No, that was last year. This is this year. And I said, "But last year, what did you do?" I put the football away, but I think it was a mistake. This is what people were saying. Well, we put all the football away, but we think it was a mistake because when we took it back out early in March and April because everyone was asking for it, and then we started selling it. Now, you know, when I had those cards right back in February after the Super Bowl, everybody was like, because the comps had nosedived because the football season was over, the comps were way down, and people were trying to buy these cards. So I wasn't selling any of these cards because the prices really weren't right on the football. That's how I knew it's time to put it away because for the prices that they were saying these cards were worth, I would say I'd rather just keep them. I would buy those cards at that price. Right? So why am I selling the card? Why am I going to sell the card and lose money on the card? So I put the cards away. But then I went shopping. I went shopping last year and I talked about it late March, early April. Let's go shopping. Let's start getting. And I started buying football and I started getting football at a very good price. And I think it was the point last year that people felt that football's going to sell. So if I'm going to go to a show, I need to sell something, right? So I'm going to bring my football so I can sell and make some money. And they were okay with selling it either at the comps because I know when I was buying it, I was just pulling the phone out and saying, look, and I was happy with paying it like 90 or 95% because I knew those comps were probably already down 20% or 25% just because of the time of the year. But the football prices now, this is the end of February. I mean, we're going to be at March this week. Um, the prices were just kind of where they were December, January, leading up to the Super Bowl. So the prices haven't tanked very much on the football. So I'm really not sure what changed. What changed from last year to this year that kept the prices of football? Now, I'm just basing this on one show, and I understand this. This is a very small sample size. But I asked myself, what changed? Um, what changed this year? When I drove home, I live about an hour away, so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to stay at home. I drove home Saturday night. And when I got home, I said, "You know what? I have the football singles box, and I have a 5 row. of footballs, all singles, and then I have a single row box with like $5 cards in it. 3 and $5 cards in it. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to grab those and throw them in the car, and I'm going to throw them on the table tomorrow because it seems like people are really buying football. They were the most popular boxes on my table today. I mean, literally the most popular box on my table. And when I tell you, in my singles box, every card in that box is $1, $533 in singles, $533 in singles on football, $1 football cards, and $175 in $5 cards, $3 to $5 cards. And I do have to say, that's not card for card, because a lot of times somebody'd say, "Hey, I got 23 cards." I'd say, "Give me 20 bucks." Right? Or I've got 11 cards, give me 10 bucks, right? Let's just make it easy. And so now we're not even going card for card. So there was more on those singles. There was more than 533 cards that were sold out of that box. My mind was blown. I'm like, I wish I would have known this. I would have just thought to bring those with me on Saturday, because I probably could have doubled that. I could have doubled that. Um, and here I am, you know, talking about this for the last 2 months, out buying hockey, so I'm ready to replace football when no one's buying football anymore, right? Um, Now I've done 2 shows with my hockey case, one in New Jersey and one in Connecticut, and I'm gonna tell you, everyone comes by and they cheer, "Oh, yes, hockey. Oh my god, these cards are great." And they're really looking at these cards. "Oh my god, let's talk." And we're having great conversation, but nobody's buying any cards. Nobody's buying any hockey cards. The only hockey card, and I'm talking slabbed in my case, the only hockey card I moved this weekend was a trade that I traded for a football card. I traded a McDavid, a Connor McDavid hockey card. I traded it for a 2020 Panini Select Joe Burrow die cut orange prism PSA 10. If you're on YouTube, I'll hold that up. Um, but that's what we did. I mean, this is what's been going on, right? I mean, everyone, "Hey, hockey, oh, I'm psyched," but nobody's buying them, you know? I'm not gonna, abandon hockey just yet, not on 2 shows, but if my drought continues, I may have to, take these cards and just put them back in my PC, leave them home and put them in the PC, because I can't be tying up prime real estate on cards that people aren't gonna buy. Um and it's interesting, because when I was talking to people, I said, "I'm gonna go at hockey this year." And a lot of people messaged me too, just from this, the podcast, saying, "Yes, yes, hockey. I mean, it's up and coming. I think you're gonna be happy with it. I think you're gonna be successful." I mean, a lot of people cheering, and I think maybe people are really rooting for hockey to take off. Um, but yeah, no. I mean, it just amazes me being here in the Northeast that it's just not not more popular at the shows. And it's funny. I had some older cards, you know, would the 70s be considered vintage cards? Maybe, but people coming over and they'll be like, "Oh, those cards are nice." And they're like, "Oh," and one guy said, Was he any good?" Like the player. Like I guess it's not like baseball and football where people just know all the players. If you followed the sport at all, you knew all the players. Maybe hockey just wasn't a sport that it's going to take maybe another generation, right, before the hockey is more popular. I'm not sure. But it just amazes me that it's not, it's just not more popular at the shows. I mean, it's popular for me. I love the hockey because I know the hockey, and I'm buying the hockey. So back to the football, so now I'm a little confused. I'm a little case confused right now. Is football going to be year round? Is what I'm hearing is what these people are saying at the show. Is it going to be year round, or is it just extended? Is this just extended maybe a little while longer because people are sitting on a lot of football that maybe hadn't sold that people expected to sell and said, I'm just going to leave in my case and hope it sells. And is it low end? Is it high end? Um, I mean, I saw other dealers, we talk, hey, how was your day? Oh yeah, look at my pickups. And they're showing me Burrow and Herbert and Lawrence RPAs. And I'm like, where did these come from? And they're like, yeah, people just coming up to the table. Are you selling? And I'm like, man, none of those showed up at my, like, I literally would have bought some of those if they showed up at my table today. And then I remember, and I was just talking about this, last week or the week before, your case is what you attract, and maybe me just not having football in my case, people are just kind of walking by. They say, oh man, this guy is a hockey guy, and he's a Mike Tyson guy, and he's got some pop culture there, but there's no football. I mean, I did have two football cards in there, but maybe they're just saying to themselves, oh, he's probably not going to be interested, I'll move on. you know if I have a hockey card that I'm trying to sell, what am I going to do when I go to a show? I'm going to go look for a hockey guy. It's a guy that's got a bunch of hockey in there that I'm hoping that he wants to add to his collection. I'm not going to go up to a guy with vintage or a guy with all football and say, hey, do you want to buy this hockey card? So, your case is what you attract. So maybe me just not having football in my case. I mean, these are the things I'm thinking about on the way home. I'm always thinking about how I can improve, every show, how can I improve what I'm doing? How can I improve, what my success at these shows? And I'm always thinking about it. And I always think to myself, man, did I make a mistake doing this? Did I make a mistake doing that? And this is one of those things. Maybe I should have had more football in my case. Maybe some great RPAs just walked by and I never had an opportunity for them. I was talking for a few episodes that I was hoping to start getting football on the cheap at the end of March and the beginning of April. Now I feel like I may have missed a little bit of an opportunity this weekend to pick up some good football cards. Um, is this part of the ever-changing hobby landscape? I was trading football cards and basketball cards for hockey cards. Is there a good time to trade hockey cards for football cards? You know, I mean, I don't know. I don't know, and I'm gonna throw it out to you guys, man. Let me know what you think. I mean, reach out. If you're setting up, what's your strategy on football? Are you still putting football in your case? Let me know. And if you're out walking the show, I mean, are you out? What's your buying strategy? I mean, are you still trying to buy football right now? Is there other things you're looking to buy right now? I mean, what's your thought and strategy on football? Because I'd like to hear from you guys, because I know not everybody is right here in the Northeast and you're all going to shows somewhere. Let me know what you're seeing out there, what you think. I almost feel like I need to write a new lesson plan for you guys, on what to do after the Super Bowl. I talk about, knowing the show and just the season and what to be doing. And, then all of a sudden you get a curveball like I did this weekend. And I'm like, oh, something's changed. And I didn't get the memo beforehand. And apparently other people did, right? I mean, some people did. And other people were talking to me. Other dealers were talking to me at the show saying, I put all my football away. And they were staying overnight, so it's not like they could just get in their car and drive home. I had the ability to go home, but I could have brought my football slabs back with me on Sunday, but I would have to be repricing them. I haven't priced them in weeks, right? And I basically I would have had to just take them out and put them in you know um, new bags, and with no price tags on them, because I just wouldn't have time to be repricing all those things. Um, so yeah, I think The show was amazing this weekend. The foot traffic was amazing this weekend, and I was just surprised on what was selling and what wasn't selling. So I know you guys are hitting shows out there. Um, Let me know. Send me a message. Let me know what you think. And let me know what you think about my hockey. Why do you think that hockey is not a big seller at these shows? Why people just don't go in to buy hockey cards? Let me know what you think about that too. We're gonna shut it down here. Like I said, I had a very long weekend, and I'm looking forward to just a little rest and relaxation right now. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please like, definitely subscribe. And most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. And until next time, take care of yourselves and everyone around you.